Our next speaker is Stephen Eno. In 2011, he was hired back at his alma mater to start the engineering program from scratch. And since then, El Segundo now has engineering is in its curriculum from K through 12. So here's Stephen.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me here today. I'm going to actually talk about a little bit something different. Yori did a phenomenal job talking about what's happening currently in education with makerspaces. And so with my experience K through 12, in terms of how many people are actually taking part in these makerspaces and how many teachers are really fully embracing makerspaces and the possibilities of technology, I kind of want to talk about what needs to happen to get it in more classrooms and have more students actually be able to use it. Because from what we can tell, even though we have K through 12 engineering, at the high school level, it's still about 5–10% of kids who are actually truly doing some makerspace work and truly involved in that. And so I'm going to use my background a little bit. I'm a teacher, a baseball coach, and a video game player to talk about kind of that revolution or talk about the possibility of a revolution to get makerspaces a little more mainstream. So obviously everyone, I'm sure, has seen Sir Ken Robinson's TED Talk in terms of education needing a revolution. And I think we still do need that revolution. I think despite all the makerspace movements and all this other things happening with technology, it's still not happening as quickly at the pace we need to. And you can see that and a lot of things. Basically, again, the trends in American public schooling, you can see again, we're not making very big strides despite the amount of money that we're throwing at education. You can see education spending basically varying from state to state, from district to district, across the board. Again, a lot of times richer schools get more local funding than the poorer schools. And again, education game seems broken, unfair, and again, mostly based off of subjective data. And so what I did, again, as a baseball coach, I thought, okay, where is there a parallel that has had this revolution happen where we're looking at something that's been very traditional and there's been a kind of a resistance to change? Well, in baseball, you can see that. And so baseball, you can see some of the more traditional things happening. You can see New York Yankees, who typically spend the most money, winning the most championships. You can see baseball basically being tied to 3 or 4 traditional statistics: RBIs, average, stolen bases, ERA, things that really don't tell the whole story. And so what I thought happened is basically there was a revolution in baseball that happened very recently through Moneyball. And basically Moneyball, for everyone who's read the book, The Art of Winning an Unfair Game, parallels to this unfair education that we have in terms of some people having access to makerspaces, some people not. And so what baseball did was they basically said, hey, let's use technology, let's come up with some advanced statistics that are going to help some of these smaller market teams compete with people like the New York Yankees. And so from the graph on the right, you can see that's happened. No longer do you have just the top spending monies winning the most games. You have some of the poorest teams or some of the teams spending the least amount of money now winning the most games because of these advanced statistics like WAR, wins above replacement. And again, these are stats that statisticians and economists who've never played the game of baseball but just took a look at what's happening, said, okay, we can actually figure out a lot more through data than we currently have with ERA and those sort of things. And so with this revolution in baseball, we can kind of try and make something like that happen in education as well. And so just to go in a little more depth with baseball, I have a picture up there of A.J. Ellis. There's a recent article using advanced statistics that said A.J. Ellis is the best pitch caller in baseball. Pitch calling is typically something that you can't quantify, that you've never been able to have stats around. These people have been able to use things like the Pitch FX system, which again sees where pitches are thrown, uses Doppler radar to basically see how fast pitches are coming off the bat and all these different things to quantify something that basically was only an eye test. And so coaches at the major league level can say, hey, I know that A.J. Ellis is a great catcher, but where are the statistics behind it? Now we have full statistics to prove basically things that only could pass the eye. And so that's happening in education a ton. Is there's certain teachers that say, hey, that kid's a great student, but we don't have any data to back it up. And so it's just an eye test at this point. And so just to go back to the parallel where we currently are in education and with makerspaces, yes, there's phenomenal things happening. We have technology in the classroom. There's kids, again, using 3D printers, building all these different things. However, we're still stuck to some of these archaic metrics. The only things that teachers truly have K-12 are things like standards-based grading, GPA, SAT, ACT. Those are all students really have to measure themselves. Does that paint a picture for students? Not at all. We're missing a huge amount that we can potentially tap into through technology and through these advanced statistics. Same thing with teachers. Teachers are only based off of like their CSET tests and some site-based evaluations. Again, very archaic things that we can probably improve. And so in the future, basically one of the things that I kind of came up with are, again, some possibilities. And so using technology basically can take away a lot of the limitations to just these grades. And so I came up with some things that could be possible, things like problem solving above grade level. And so you can use these different makerspaces to figure out grit removing interest. So obviously a kid's gonna have a lot of grit in something he likes, take away something that he likes, and you can get a good measurement of what he truly has in terms of grit. Accountability across subjects, career readiness score, responsibility without parent intervention. And so some of these advanced statistics can really tell us truly where students are. Same thing with teachers. Education value added. There's a court case right now where we're actually starting to use these advanced statistics to look at educators, but I think we can go a little bit further. Education value added plus, which could basically account for family and community conditions, motivation ability for teachers, relationship development percentage. And so we have a lot of possibilities in terms of what we can do with technology and advanced statistics. Again, the last piece is with video games. You can see gaming happening all the way from preschool up through 12th grade. However, it's not there yet. Seeing what's happening in the classroom, we can do so much more with things like Final Fantasy, these truly immersive environments. And you can see these skill-based grids that are basically showing where students can go. So we have a ton we can do in terms of getting that to happen. And lastly, with adoption, that's the hardest part. Teachers in districts, you have to fight tooth and nail to get technology into these districts, to get teachers to actually use them. And so what we have to do is we basically have to make it easier for them. Every kid has a cell phone. Have cell phones track attendance. As soon as they walk through the door, it's already done. Something simple like that, and then we can, again, use that to leverage some sort of change in school culture and structure. Again, examining things like social promotion and modifying teacher responsibilities. So there's a lot happening that's great. However, we have a long way to go. There's a lot of great possibilities, and hopefully a revolution with advanced statistics can change education. Thank you.